In my last video, I argued that Oshinoko doesn't punish people for adapting, it rewards them. Ruby learned the rules and succeeded. Aqua stayed functional, nobody collapsed. And that's what made it dangerous. Episodes 5 and 6 take that one step further. Akane sits on her bed, staring at a photo of Aqua, and decides not to tell him the truth about his father. Kana spends the night at the director's house, convincing herself it's just part of the job. Aqua sits alone in the dark and asks someone else to decide whether he should keep chasing revenge. Nobody explodes, nobody makes a dramatic mistake, but something feels different. Control isn't centralized anymore. Secrets are multiplying. People are acting independently. And when a story built on precision starts to feel unstable, the question isn't just whether the writing changed, it's whether the structure did. So, is Oshinoko starting to fall apart? Or are we watching what happens when control quietly slips away? Up until this point, Oshinoko has been built around precision. Even when the industry was cruel, it felt structured. Aqua drove the narrative, he gathered information, he made calculated moves, he decided how close people were allowed to get. Even Ruby's growth earlier this season felt strategic. She adapted to the system, she learned how to present herself, and the story rewarded her for it. Nothing felt random, nothing felt scattered. But episodes 5 and 6 don't escalate that structure. They loosen it, not with explosions, with isolation. Important decisions happen in separate rooms, secrets are kept quietly, and for the first time, Aqua isn't the only one moving the pieces. That shift is subtle, but it changes how the story feels. Akane sits on her bed in a softly lit room. The light is warm, calm, intimate. On the bedside table, there is a framed photo of Aqua. The camera lingers just long enough for it to matter. She looks at it, and she makes a decision. She won't tell him the truth about his father, not yet. She believes she's protecting him. She believes she's carrying the burden so he doesn't have to. But what matters isn't whether she's right, what matters is that she decides alone. Cut to Aqua, he's sitting on the floor of his dark room. Blue light spills across his face. No warmth, no comfort. When he calls Akane, he does something he rarely does. He sounds uncertain. He tells her he appreciates her. He says he loves her the way she is. And then he asks her something unexpected. Should he give up the hunt or keep chasing revenge? Earlier seasons wouldn't frame Aqua like this. He was always the one with the plan, the one withholding information, the one deciding how the story moved forward. Now he's asking someone else to decide for him. Akane responds calmly. There are two individuals choosing to be together. It's his decision. She'll support him either way. It's mature, balanced, reasonable, but after the call ends, she continues her investigation. She doesn't stop, she doesn't tell him. She moves forward independently. And that's where the instability starts to settle in. Because this isn't betrayal, it's decentralization. Aqua used to be the gravitational center of the story. Information flowed toward him, decisions flowed through him. Now information is splitting, choices are being made around him, and when control doesn't sit in one place anymore, the structure of the story stops feeling precise. It starts feeling fragmented, not broken, but less contained. And for a show built on calculation, that shift is subtle, but it's significant. If Aqua's story in episodes 5 and 6 is about control slipping quietly between two people, the story about Kana is about what happens when there is no one controlling the situation at all. Kana goes to the director's place. Not an office, not a studio, rather his house. And before anything happens, she convinces herself she can handle it. She's an entertainer. She's been in uncomfortable situations before. If he crosses a line, she'll deflect. She even prepares excuses in advance. If it gets awkward, she'll say it's that time of the month. She's rehearsing survival. But the moment he admits he looks at her that way, the moment he casually explains that he's married but in an open relationship, the illusion disappears. There is no hidden manipulation, no dramatic reveal, just blunt honesty. He says he's a player. He promises her a big role, not a minor one. And he doesn't need to say what that costs. Kana is stunned. Not naive, not clueless, just caught between ambition and pressure. She doesn't shut it down immediately, and that hesitation is uncomfortable to watch. Because earlier seasons framed the industry with sharp satire. Clear systems, clear rules, clear predators. But here, it's not framed as a system, it's framed as a room, conversation, conversation, an exchange. And later, after she spends the night there, after drinking, after venting about Aqua, after emotional exhaustion, the paparazzi photo is taken. Not during a scandal, not during some explosive betrayal, but after vulnerability. But it doesn't feel like escalation. It feels like erosion. This is where the instability shifts from emotional to structural, because no one is orchestrating this. Aqua isn't pulling strings. There is no grand manipulation. It's just the industry operating as it does. Quietly, casually, without needing a villain speech. And that's what makes episodes 5 and 6 feel different. Earlier seasons critique the industry from a position of analysis. These episodes live inside it. And living inside something messy will always feel less precise than dissecting it. But precision is what made Oshinoko feel controlled. Now the control feels thinner, more dispersed, more uncomfortable. And that discomfort makes people wonder, is the story losing its edge? Or is it refusing to keep its distance anymore? Episode 6 doesn't explode, it isolates. Kana is confronted by paparazzi at night. She's alone, no stage lights, no performance, no manager stepping in, just her. He questions her, he pushes her, and instead of shrinking, she yells that she doesn't care what the fans think. She won't pretend to be some innocent idol. She'll rise in the industry by being herself, not by playing a version that's easier to sell. It's messy, it's emotional, it's risky, but it's hers. And Aqua watches. Earlier seasons trained us to expect intervention. Aqua manipulating their narrative. Aqua pulling strings behind the scenes. Aqua calculating how to protect or reposition someone. But here, he doesn't move. He smirks slightly and tells himself she doesn't need him. That's not dominance, that's withdrawal. For the first time, Aqua isn't the gravitational center of the conflict. Kana defines herself publicly without his orchestration. At the same time, Akane discovers Kamiki's location, quietly, almost casually. She even jokes that maybe she should have been a private investigator instead of an actress. But that moment is heavy, because she now holds information that could reignite everything, and Aqua doesn't know. That's the real shift. Earlier, information flowed toward Aqua, now it flows around him. Kana is making public declarations alone. Akane is moving the revenge plot forward alone. Ruby has already learned to navigate the industry independently. Everyone is acting without waiting for him. And that's what makes episodes 5 and 6 feel unstable. Not because the writing collapses, but because the story no longer has a single axis. Revenge used to be the spine, Aqua used to be the center. Now the narrative is fragmenting into separate paths, and fragmentation feels messy, especially in a story that once felt surgical. The question isn't whether things are breaking, it's whether Aqua is no longer the one holding them together. So is Oshinoko starting to fall apart? In conclusion, episodes 5 and 6 don't feel as tightly wound as earlier season. They don't revolve around one calculated plan. They don't move with the same surgical precision. But nothing here is random. Akane choosing silence isn't chaos. Kana standing alone isn't sloppy writing. Aqua stepping back isn't a mistake. It's a redistribution of control. Earlier this season, I argued that this world rewards adaptation, that people succeed by becoming functional inside something broken. But what happens when everyone adapts at once? When no single person holds the axis anymore? Revenge stories depend on precision, on focus, on one gravitational center. If that center starts to dissolve, if Aqua is no longer the one controlling the narrative, then instability doesn't look like collapse. It looks like fragmentation. And fragmentation always feels messier than control. So maybe the real question isn't whether Oshinoko is falling apart, maybe it's whether the story can survive without a single character holding everything together. Because once revenge stops being centralized, it either evolves or it implodes. And right now, it's impossible to tell which direction we are heading.